Hello and welcome back to the channel for some more GT Sport action. Today we're looking at race C at Mount Panorama. I really do love this circuit, and we've qualified third place, so it's kind of showing there. Chosen the Aston Martin Vantage here. Really like the car, felt really comfortable in it. So we kick things off, lock up from the guy in front into the first corner. Got a fair bit of hope here as we follow them down, well, up the straight. Get a good run, but not enough overspeed. Brake a little bit earlier because of cold tyres and heavy fuel load. Looks like the Lexus in front of us hasn't done that, and neither has the Nissan GTR. We managed to take the lead. Really unexpected. Let's take a look back on that and see exactly what happened. Yeah, I just think they were really overcooked it, a little bit too overzealous on the first lap. You see the Lexus guy quit straight off their mistake. We managed to build a little bit of a lead through that first lap, but carnage ensued behind. Pretty much ping pong with bumper cars. That's it. Again there. So that was good for us. Managed to build a 2-second gap by the end of the first lap. And yeah, but it's a 9-lap race, and this is race C, so we need to remember to conserve our tyres and keep our fuel looking good. Although fuel wasn't an issue for this race, to be honest. We seem to have a fair bit there. On lap 3, make a slight mistake. Now the downward spiral. Trying to keep it as tidy as possible. I think it's a Mercedes AMG that's behind, who is part of the melee that we just saw. Is definitely closing the gap now. Much faster driver. Through the hairpin. We've not had a great run. A little bit of contact with the barrier that's going to hinder our straight line speed down the long back straight. Looking on the radar, the AMG is really close. They've got a nice run up the inside for the right hand kink. They've just got their nose ahead. We decide to back out of it. Don't want a large accident, but we do screw up our braking here, which puts us off the track a little bit, and obviously the Porsche gets us as well. Again, not ideal, but it could have been worse. Could have been a lot further down if we'd gone straight off into the gravel there. Had to concede the position through the kink, because I think that would have been a large accident had we decided to keep our foot in there. Don't really know what happened in the braking zone, to be honest. For some reason took the foot off the brake. So chasing the Porsche almost halfway through the race. Porsche makes a little bit of a mistake. We go to the inside. Porsche looks like they're going to take the apex of the corner, but then sees us very late, and really good driving from them, Baz 339, to see that at the last minute and give us the opportunity to go through unscathed. Saw some pretty decent driving in this race, to be honest. It's not really been the case in GT Sport recently, especially with the penalty system the way it is, but today saw some pretty good driving. We've gone wide. That's going to give the Porsche a chance up the inside, but for whatever reason they didn't get up the inside. I thought at first there was a little bit of contact. Yeah, so if you're enjoying the content, then don't forget to leave a like. It's always much appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe as well if you want to see more GT Sport content and any future content. Got some things lined up this year, so you might be interested to see. Back to the race, the AMG decided to pit. They had such a large advantage over us. They boxed for some new hard tyres. Pretty much guarantees the win for them. A little bit further into the race, following the Beetle. A little bit overzealous on the braking. I don't think it's particularly bad driving. I just think they misjudged their braking zones. A little bit of a tap to pass, which I wasn't particularly fond of. But we have a nice run down the straight in the slipstream of the VW Beetle. Go to the inside, but they move to the inside of the track, so we have to lift out of it. Obviously we have a car behind us as well. We have to make sure we respect that driver. The Beetle's gone off. We go off slightly, get a massive tank slipper, but get it back together. Go to the outside. The Beetle defends the inside. It's always a difficult move around the outside, but can we make it stick? Brake just before the 50-meter board. A little bit of contact from the Beetle pushing us onto the grass and the rumble strip, and the Nissan GTR manages to make its way past. But if we sit tight here, we might make up a position. We will make a position as the VW Beetle goes off the circuit. Now's the long slug up the hill, up the straight, behind the Nissan GTR. We're in the slipstream. Pull out, but that GTR is so fast in a straight line. It's really difficult to get alongside them. We brake later, but we get some understeer, make contact with TM Jordan, and unfortunately we pick up the penalty, which is probably justified. Try to give the guy the position back without hindering his second place, and we just see that back on the replay. Is there much else we could have done here other than avoid the understeer with a little bit of braking control? I don't really think so. It was the lightest of touches, but that's all it is in racing. The lightest of touches can have a monumental consequence. So we've made a mistake and then been punished for it from the VW Beetle as it comes flying through. We were ghosted, so I think it's just a bit unlucky there. We both picked up penalties and served them. We make a bit of contact with the VW there. Wasn't too pleased with his driving earlier on in the race, but I hadn't seen the replays at that point. Down the downward spiral of the mountain, the downstairs section. Both of us are really pushing. Penultimate lap. I really felt like I could get this guy, so coming through the final hairpin, down the long straight. It's going to be our best shot. It's probably into the left-hander at the bottom down here, but we have to be tucked up right behind them. So we get into the slipstream of the VW. Go to the inside, but the driver's covered that off like they did a couple of laps ago. But I think they think we've given up, but we haven't. Dive on the brakes, up the inside, third gear. Try not to lose the car, and it's a really good move done. Quite proud of that one. I think what made it possible was the fact that VW thought we'd given up on the move, especially when we backed out of it, coming through the kink, but was committed on the brakes. And up into fourth. However, we did make a hash of the final corner, which put us onto the grass, but luckily for us, the guy behind did it as well, so we got away with it. So coming through the last few corners, got a largish gap to the car behind. It will pretty much be fourth place. Obviously we dropped from third to fourth this race. Not ideal. I don't think we could have pitted either because we would have lost track position. But that's it for this episode. One featured race, which was racing at Mount Panorama. But stay tuned for the weekly livery, which will come up shortly. There's some action from some recent lobby sessions midweek. Be sure to stay for that. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.